السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. This is our 6th episode on the life and legacy of Imam Al-Hassan Al-Mujtaba, peace be upon him. So far we have spoken briefly about his life during the life of the Prophet, and then after the Prophet during the caliphs who ruled after the Prophet, peace be upon him. And now we come to the period of Uthman ibn Affan, which lasted for almost 12 years, from year 23 Hijri till 35 Hijri, where Uthman ibn Affan was the caliph, and he was appointed by Umar ibn al-Khattab. There are some unsubstantiated and proven and verified stories in the history that Imam Hassan was defending Uthman ibn Affan against the revolution of the revolutionaries, and many of those revolutionaries were companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Some of them were righteous people. Some of them were fed up with the level that the corruption reached during the time of Uthman because of his wrong policies of nepotism and favoritism and wasting the wealth of the nation. They were fed up with him. On the other hand, there were some opportunists who joined those revolutionaries. We cannot say all of them were good or all of them were bad. Some were good, some had very clean intentions. Some of them, they were searching for personal gains, like Talha and Zubair. They wanted to be governors and rulers instead. Also Aisha, she was unhappy with Uthman, and Aisha was instigating his murder. اقتلوا نعثلا فقد كفر. Na'thal was a Jewish merchant in Medina, so she resembled Uthman to that Jewish merchant. And then she says, you have to murder him. فَقَدْ كَفَرْ, he disbelieved. But many of those revolutionaries, they had good intention. They wanted to correct the situation. They were defending the interest of the Muslim community. So these reports, these allegations, allege that Imam Hassan, in the process of defending Uthman against the revolutionaries, the attack of the revolutionaries during the siege, because Uthman was under siege for a long period of time, Imam Hassan was even wounded and injured. But these are baseless stories. Sharif al-Radi, Sharif al-Murtada, in one of his theses, he says, if it is true that Imam Ali sent his two children Hassan and Hussein to the house of Uthman, it was not to defend Uthman himself per se. It was ليمنع من انتهاك حريمه وتعمد قتله ومنع حرمه ونسائه من الطعام والشراب. Imam Ali sent them so the revolutionaries do not cut off the supply of food and water to the family of Uthman. They do not violate his family's, his women's, his children's rights. And they do not murder him with no justification. Though Imam Ali was not happy with the conduct of Uthman for the last 12 years of his rule. Imam Ali says something very important regarding Uthman. Of course, Imam Ali was accused by Aisha, by Talha, by Zubair, by Muawiyah, and their cronies of being the murderer of Uthman. But Imam Ali did not murder him. Has nothing to do with that. But that doesn't mean Imam Ali loved Uthman. Listen to what he said about him. He said, إِنَّهُ اسْتَأْثَرَ فَأَسَاءَ الْإِثْرَ. He ruled and he controlled with iron fist. He controlled and he misused the power. أَسَاءَ الْإِثْرَ. He ruled exclusively with dominance. So his rule was corrupt. On the other hand, the revolutionaries who murdered him, وَجَزَعُوا فَأَسَاءُوا الْجَزَعَ. And they overreacted to Uthman badly, in a bad way. So they mistreated him, they murdered him. So neither Uthman was right, nor the revolutionaries, his opponents, were right in murdering him in such a terrible way. That is the stand of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Therefore, Imam Hassan did not go there to protect the sanctity of Uthman ibn Affan, because he felt that Uthman is right and what the revolutionaries are doing is wrong. Uthman was wrong and he deserved punishment because he misused his powers, his authority, the Khilafah, which resulted in that revolution. It was an economic revolution. Revolution by people who were marginalized. They were forgotten. They were very fed up. There was a lot of corruption. What Uthman did, unfortunately, is to bring the entire clan of Bani Umayyah and appoint them different positions in the government and the provinces, not just in Medina, other provinces too. And they were corrupt. They were not qualified to be rulers, to be politicians, to be awliya ul-umur, people in charge of the government. They were not. But this is nepotism. Therefore, my friends, Imam Ali also tried to advise Uthman in many occasions. And he would send to him his son, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, to counsel him, to advise him. In one occasion, listen to what Uthman is saying to Imam Hassan. He's saying to him, إِنَّ أَبَاكَ يَرَى أَنَّ أَحَدًا لَا يَعْلَمُ مَا يَعْلَمُ. Your father Ali thinks that we don't know what he knows. We know everything. See, this is the reaction of dictators, the reaction of corrupt people. When you go and tell them that something wrong is happening in your community, in your country, in your society, in your government, rather than saying, I thank you for your advice, for bringing this up to my attention, rather than thanking you, they snap at you. They say, you think I don't know about these things? I know everything. You don't have to tell me. This is the character of dictators. And Uthman continues to say, وَنَحْنُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا نَفْعَلْ فَكُفَّ عَنَّا. Tell your father to stop. I know what I'm doing. This is exactly the reaction of Uthman ibn Affan to Imam Ali alayhi salam, to the most honest, the most pious leader. In one occasion he says, I don't want the advice of your father. Go and tell your father, he's saying this to Imam Hassan, go and tell your father, أن يخرج إلى أرض ينبع, to leave Medina. We don't want him to stay in Medina. Let him go to the land of Yanbu', which is outside Medina. That was the reaction of Uthman. And when Uthman was under siege, look at Imam Ali. Look at his human rights principles. Look at his manners. When Uthman was under siege, Imam Ali felt sorry for him. Sorry for the fate that he deserves. He does deserve that fate, but still Imam Ali felt sorry for him. So he sent Imam Hassan, he said to him, انطلق يا بني إلى عثمان فقل له يقول لك أبي أفتحب أن أنصرك? Do you want my help, my support? فأقبل الحسن إلى عثمان برسالة أبيه. So when Imam Hassan came to the third caliph, Uthman ibn Affan, with a message of his father, فقال عثمان لا ما أريد ذلك. No, I don't need the help of your father Ali. That was the reaction of Uthman ibn Affan. Now some historians believe that, or there are some stories, and history, my friends, history was written by Bani Umayyah. Most of the history you see today, the history of Islam, was written during the Abbasid time, but by pro-Umayyah's writers and historians. History of Islam is not clean, my friends. It's not clean. There's lots of fabrications, lots of baseless events and stories and hadiths in that history. It was mired in corruption. Most of those historians were not clean. They were mercenaries, working for despotic regimes like the Umayyads and the Abbasides. They were on their payroll. They would pay them to write the history. So it's not clean. You have to be always skeptic of what you read. You have to double check. You have to cross-examine. You have to be smart, intelligent, careful when you read the history. Many of what is written in the books is not true. It's not true. Some of them allege that Imam Hassan was a pro-Uthman, pro-Umayyads too. This is how they portray him. And they say he was upset with his father Imam Ali, because Imam Ali did not help Uthman ibn Affan. But these are allegations, because Imam Ali suffices him what the Prophet says about him. And that hadith is mentioned in these books, which are called authentic books in the Sunni tradition. The Prophet says, Aliyun ma'al haq, wal haqqu ma'a Ali, yaduru ma'ahu haythu dar. Ali is with the truth is with Ali, and the truth runs after Ali. In whatever direction Ali goes, the truth follows Ali. This is exactly what the Prophet said about Imam Ali. So he doesn't do something wrong. And Imam Hassan alayhi salam knows this thing about his father. And Imam Hassan is part of the immaculate family, the purified family. So he would not oppose his father. These are wishful thinkings of the enemies of Ahlulbayt. They make themselves happy with them. They cannot deceive the intelligent people like you. So these stories and these allegations are completely baseless, made by fabricators. They get money, they write this story. Like the story of Imam Ali wanting to marry the daughter of Abu Jahl while he is having Fatima alayhi salam. Having Fatima, the companions of the Prophet, they would kill themselves just to marry Fatima. Who didn't want to marry Fatima? Who? Tell me. The entire people of Medina wanted to marry Fatima, including Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Abu Ubaidah, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And the Prophet would tell them, no, no, no. God knows how many times the Prophet said no to those people. He was waiting for Ali to come forward to give him Fatima, because he was the only qualified man to marry Fatima alayhi salam. So they say he went after the daughter of Abu Jahl, the most despicable person on the surface of earth. Ali would do that. He would hurt Fatima and hurt the Prophet and hurt himself and hurt his children and hurt Islam and hurt his cause by marrying the daughter of Abu Jahl, the enemy of God, the enemy of Imam Ali himself. They say things that does not make sense to make themselves happy. They think that they are tarnishing the image of Imam Ali, but they cannot hurt him, because at the end of the day the truth comes up very clear for those who have reason. لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Even God says in his book, in this book, that my signs are clear. But did he say for the entire mankind? For everybody? No. لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. For those who open their eyes and use their reason. But for those who are naive, brainwashed, they don't use the reason, they believe these allegations, this book does not work for them. Imam Ali was in so much love with Imam Hassan, and Imam Hassan loved so much his father. You know what Imam Ali would say about his son Imam Hassan in the battlefield? املكوا عني هذا الغلام لا يهدني. Keep control of this young man. Don't let him go inside the battlefield. Because if anything happens to him, I'm going to die. This was the love and the respect between the father and the son. So, yes, Imam Ali wanted to defend Uthman because he didn't like the way he was murdered. It wasn't civilized. It was chaotic. It was barbaric. Uthman did deserve punishment for what he did, but not in that manner. Because imagine, after the death of Uthman, there were no caliph for 7 days. Power vacuum, and that is very dangerous in a society like Arabia, where everyone wants to be the leader, people vying for power and prestige. It was very chaotic, and Imam Ali did not like that to happen. And when they came and asked him to be the caliph, he said, leave me alone. وَاطْلُبُوا غَيْرِي. Go find someone else. I'm not vying. I'm not aspiring for this position. So Imam Hassan maybe went to defend the integrity of his family and his children. And this is the highest level of nobility. When you have an enemy, but still, you don't want to practice injustice against your enemy. Imam Ali has a beautiful saying where I conclude, my friends. I'm going to conclude when I finish this saying. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, أعدل الناس أعدل الناس من أنصف من ظلمه. The most equitable person is the one who does justice to his enemy. Not to his friend. Of course to his friends. But to his enemy. He knows that this person is an enemy, but yet he will practice justice with him and her. That is the most equitable person. That is the most just person, wonderful person, integrated person, al-insan al-kamil. You have an enemy, he did so many bad things to you, but you would not retaliate. You would not do the same. وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنُ قَوْمٍ عَلَىٰ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا اعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Do not let others, the bad ones, to drag you into their camp. You pull them up. Use your own standards, your own values to pulling them up, to giving them a lesson in humanity, in justice. Don't be like them. Don't be like them. They are low, down. Don't go down with them. Try to bring them up. And of course, you have to be patient here. It doesn't happen from the first day. And it doesn't happen with everybody. Some people, even if you give concessions to them, be patient with them, it doesn't happen, doesn't work. But you must stay where you are. And that was exemplified in the incident where Imam Hassan alayhi salam went to defend the house of Muawiyah, of Uthman, not because of him, but because of human rights, because of his children, his wives. He doesn't want them to be hurt. He doesn't want them to die of starvation because the revolutionaries were adamant on cutting off the food supply and the water supply from Uthman's house. This is the character of Al-Imam Al-Hassan al-Mushtaba alayhi salam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.